Imagine spending your entire life being perfectly in control. Every move calculated, every leap landed perfectly, every situation handled with total, unshakable confidence. You are the predator. You are the one in charge. And then, someone turns on the tap. Suddenly, the most composed, dignified creature on the planet transforms into a panicked, scrambling, wide-eyed disaster. Claws out, back-arched, the look of pure betrayal on their face, as if you just committed the greatest crime in history. Sound familiar? If you've ever lived with a cat, you already know this scene. And you've probably wondered, what is actually going on inside that fluffy little brain? Why does water turn a fearless hunter into a drama queen in 2 seconds flat? And why, for the love of everything, does your cat also lose their mind over cucumbers, or plastic bags, or the sound of a balloon? Today, we're going deep into the bizarre, fascinating, and surprisingly scientific world of feline phobias. By the end of this, you'll never look at your cat's panic moments the same way again. Because these aren't just quirks, they're a window straight into your cat's ancient, complex, and honestly, kind of genius brain. Let's start at the very beginning.
Chapter 1. The Water Mystery. Let's talk about the big one first, water. Now, here's something that might surprise you. Cats, as a species, are actually physically capable of swimming. They have the body mechanics for it. Some wildcat species, like tigers, jaguars, and fishing cats, actively love water. Tigers will wade into rivers just to cool down. Fishing cats dive headfirst into streams to catch their dinner. Water for them is not the enemy. So why does your domestic cat act like a single drop of water is the apocalypse? The answer lives in history, deep history. Modern domestic cats, the ones curled up on your couch right now, descended from a very specific ancestor, the African wildcat, known scientifically as Felis libica. This small, sand-colored wildcat lived in one of the driest environments on Earth, the arid deserts and scrublands of North Africa and the Middle East. These environments had very little water. Streams were rare. Rain was rare. Large bodies of water were essentially non-existent. So for thousands of generations, these cats evolved in a world where water was simply not part of daily life. They didn't need to cross rivers. They didn't hunt in lakes. They got most of their moisture from the prey they ate. Water as a physical environment was just not a thing they dealt with. And evolution is ruthless about what it keeps and what it throws away. Because there was no survival pressure pushing cats to be comfortable around water, that comfort never developed. Instead, water became something unfamiliar. And in the animal world, unfamiliar usually means potentially dangerous. But the evolutionary history is only part of the story, because the real reason cats hate water isn't just about where they came from. It's about what water actually does to them.
Chapter 2. The Sensory Nightmare. Here's something you probably never thought about. For you, getting wet is mildly annoying at worst. Your hair gets damp, your clothes feel heavy for a few minutes. It's not fun, but it's no big deal. For a cat, getting wet is a full-scale sensory catastrophe. Think about what water does to a cat's fur. A cat's coat is made up of multiple layers, a dense undercoat and longer guard hairs on top. That layered structure is incredibly efficient at trapping air and regulating body temperature. It keeps them warm in winter and cool in summer. It's essentially a built-in climate control system. The second that coat gets wet, the entire system collapses. The layers absorb water and collapse inward. That beautiful insulating air pocket disappears. The fur becomes a heavy, cold, soaking weight pressing down on their skin. The cat goes from perfectly temperature regulated to cold, weighed down, and physically impaired, all in seconds. And here's where it gets really interesting from a psychological standpoint. Cats are control freaks. That's not an insult, it's just basic feline psychology. A cat's entire sense of safety is tied to their ability to move freely, react instantly, and maintain physical control of their body. It's a predator instinct. To hunt successfully, to escape danger, to survive, they need to be fast, agile, and unimpaired at all times. Wet fur destroys that control. It slows them down. It weighs them down. It makes them feel physically compromised. And for an animal whose psychological security is built on physical capability, feeling compromised is genuinely terrifying. It's not drama. It's a real, deep-wired survival alarm going off in their brain. There's also a sensory element that humans completely underestimate. A cat's skin is extraordinarily sensitive to touch, far more sensitive than ours. Water moving across their skin isn't just wet, It's a barrage of unfamiliar physical sensations all firing at once. To a cat's nervous system, being drenched with water can genuinely feel overwhelming, in the same way that a sensory-sensitive person might feel when unexpected loud noises hit them from all directions simultaneously. So the next time your cat loses their mind at bath time, they're not being dramatic. They are experiencing a very real, very uncomfortable, very logical from their perspective, full-body alarm response.
Chapter 3. The Cucumber Conspiracy. Okay, water makes sense now. Evolution plus sensory logic. Easy. But how do we explain the cucumber thing? If you haven't seen the videos, and there are hundreds of them online, the setup is always the same. Cat is distracted, eating their food. Owner quietly places a cucumber behind them. Cat turns around. Cat launches into the air with the energy of someone who just saw a ghost. Pure, unfiltered panic. From a vegetable. Why? Cucumbers don't move. They don't smell threatening. They make no sound. By every logical measure, a cucumber is one of the most harmless objects on the planet, and yet cats treat them like mortal danger. Here's the fascinating psychology behind it. Cats are pattern recognition machines. Their brains are constantly building a mental map of their environment. Every object, every smell, every sound, cataloged and filed. This mental map is how they move through the world safely. When they're eating, they're focused on the task in front of them, but their brain has already logged what's behind them. They know there's nothing there. They've checked. It's safe. Then they turn around and suddenly the map is wrong. There is an object where their brain's records say there should be nothing. That instant, jarring conflict between what I expected and what I see triggers an automatic threat response before rational processing can even kick in. But there's a second layer, and this is where it gets really interesting. The shape of a cucumber, long, cylindrical, slightly curved, bears a passing resemblance to the body of a snake. Cats don't need to have ever seen a snake in person to have this response. Predator awareness for certain shapes, particularly the elongated shape associated with snakes, appears to be a deeply instinctive recognition that doesn't require learned experience. Some animal behaviorists believe this response is encoded at a neurological level, meaning cats may be hardwired to flag certain shapes as potentially dangerous. The cucumber is essentially the perfect storm, an unexpected object in a safe space with a shape that bypasses the rational brain and goes straight to the ancient alarm system. It doesn't matter that it's a salad ingredient. The cat's brain has already made up its mind.
Chapter 4. The Sound Phobias. Now let's talk about the phobias that aren't visual, because some of the strangest feline fears are entirely about sound. Plastic bags, balloons, aluminum foil, the sound of a printer, the beep of a microwave, the rustling of wrapping paper. These seem completely random, but there is a pattern connecting all of them, and once you see it, it changes how you think about everything. A cat's hearing is not like yours. Humans can hear sounds between roughly 20 Hz and 20,000 Hz. That's a decent range. But a cat's hearing extends all the way up to 79,000 Hz. That's close to the hearing range of a bat. They can detect ultrasonic frequencies that are completely inaudible to you. What this means is that sounds which seem mildly annoying to you, the crinkle of a plastic bag, the pop of a balloon, contain additional frequencies that you literally cannot hear, but your cat can. That innocent-sounding crinkle might be carrying high-frequency components that are genuinely jarring to your cat's auditory system. It's the equivalent of someone firing an air horn directly next to your ear when you were only expecting a quiet whisper. Beyond raw frequency, there's the question of unpredictability. Cats are deeply unsettled by sounds that are inconsistent, irregular, or hard to locate in space. A plastic bag rustles, then stops, then rustles again from a different direction. There's no pattern, no origin point that stays fixed. For an animal that relies on precise sound location to hunt and to detect threats, a sound that doesn't behave by the rules is genuinely disturbing. Their brain keeps trying to classify it. Is this prey? Is this a predator? And keeps failing to reach an answer. That unresolved classification is, neurologically speaking, one of the most stressful states a cat's brain can be in.
Chapter 5. The Deeper Truth About Feline Fear. Here's something that ties all of this together, and it's the most important thing you'll take away from this video. Every single phobia we've talked about, water, cucumbers, strange sounds,
is not a sign of weakness. It's not a character flaw. It's not your cat being silly. Each one of these responses is a perfectly logical output from a brain that is wired first and foremost for survival. The cat brain operates on a hierarchy. At the very top of that hierarchy sits one single priority. Don't get caught off guard. Stay alive. Maintain control. Because in the wild, the one moment you were caught off guard is the moment everything ends. Domestic cats have been living with humans for roughly 10,000 years. That sounds like a long time, but in evolutionary terms, it's barely a blink. The deep wiring underneath all that domestication, the survival instincts, the threat responses, the ancient alarm systems, those are millions of years old. They haven't been rewritten. They've just been overlaid, buried under a thin layer of, I like this couch and this human gives me food. But the moment something triggers the old system, something unexpected, something that doesn't fit the map, something that overloads the senses, that ancient brain takes over, instantly, completely. And your perfectly sophisticated, biscuit-making, slow-blinking companion becomes a raw, survival-focused animal in the space of a single heartbeat. That is not a bug. That is the most elegant feature of feline cognition.
Chapter 6. What you can do. Now, knowing all of this, what can you actually do to help a cat who's dealing with genuine fear and anxiety? First, and most importantly, never force exposure. The old idea of just let them get used to it by forcing contact with the feared thing is not supported by modern animal behavior science. It doesn't build confidence, it builds distrust. And once you've broken a cat's trust, rebuilding it is a long, slow process. Instead, the approach that actually works is called systematic desensitization. It sounds complicated, but it's actually beautifully simple. You expose your cat to the feared thing at such a low intensity that it doesn't trigger a fear response at all. Then, very gradually, over many sessions, you increase the intensity while pairing it with something positive: a treat, a play session, calm and reassuring presence. For water-averse cats, this might mean starting with just a slightly damp cloth and working up from there over weeks or months. For sound-sensitive cats, playing recordings of the feared sound at very low volume during an otherwise pleasant experience can slowly recalibrate the brain's threat response. The second thing you can do is create safety architecture in your home. A cat who has reliable, accessible hiding spots, high perches, covered beds, quiet corners they can retreat to, handles fear and stress significantly better than a cat with no safe retreat options. When the alarm goes off in their brain, being able to immediately access a safe space allows the nervous system to reset faster. It's the difference between feeling trapped and feeling like you have options. And the third thing, maybe the most powerful of all, is your own energy. Cats are extraordinarily attuned to their owner's stress levels. When your cat panics and you react with alarm or frustration, it confirms to their brain that yes, this situation is dangerous. When you respond with calm, steady, quiet presence, not rushing to pick them up, not making a big fuss, you are communicating through body language that the threat assessment was a false alarm. Over time, that calm consistency becomes one of the most powerful tools for building a genuinely confident, secure cat. So the next time your cat bolts from the bathroom the second you turn on the shower, just remember, you're not watching a cat being ridiculous. You're watching millions of years of survival programming doing exactly what it was designed to do. Protecting a small, extraordinary creature from a world that was once far more dangerous than your living room. And honestly, that instinct is part of what makes them so endlessly, magnificently fascinating. If this helped you understand your cat a little better today, share it with every cat owner you know. And if you've got a cat with a weird phobia that we didn't cover today, drop it in the comments. Because trust me, whatever your cat is afraid of, there is a fascinating psychological reason behind it. See you in the next one.